Roll call, we're all here today. And we'll dive into the agenda, the regular agenda. Agenda item number 1, approval of the June 3rd, 2025 Carefree Water Company and Utilities Community Facilities District meeting minutes. Anyone have any comments about those minutes? So hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes from June 3rd, 2025.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Item number 2, update on the interim staffing of general manager position and recruitment for a new general manager. So as you all know, Greg Crossman retired. He didn't give us very much notice, but he retired. He did a great job for us in the 13 years he was here. He did the water consolidation project, which was really a big heavy lift. So now we are searching for a general manager. And to do that, we pushed out a notice to LinkedIn, the League of Cities and Towns, and the Arizona Water Association. We received several resumes in response, and we're going through an interviewing process. So that includes board member Sheila Amorosa, myself, Kristen Cray as the secretary-treasurer of the water company, and Gary Neese, who has 23 years of history working with the water company in the town. So hopefully we're going through that process, and hopefully we'll find someone, identify someone, and sign someone up sooner than later. All right, item number 3, review, discussion, and possible action to approve the following. Resolution 2025-03, authorizing the chairman of the Town of Carefree, Arizona Utilities Community Facilities District, Carefree UCFD, to execute the following contract. A, construction contract number 2025-C01 with Judd Company LLC for the Silver Saddle Pressure Zone Waterline Improvement Project for the total bid amount of $894,466. And 2, the establishment by the district manager of a 25% contingency fund to account for possible cost increases and change orders as discussed in the summary section. So C.J. DiMaggio, the town engineer, will lead us through this, given that he knows engineering.
Thank you, Chairman, Mr. Chairman, and members of the board. I'm going to channel my inner Greg Crossman as well as I can. I spoke with Greg before he departed about this project. I had reviewed the project previously as I would review any other project that crosses the plan review counter at Town Hall some months ago, so I'm familiar with it. This slideshow was substantially prepared by Greg, so I'll walk you through it. Before we get into it, though, I wanted to just revisit that very weighty name because it sounds very technocratic, and it is, the Silver Saddle Pressure Zone Pipeline Improvement Project. The title is important because each of those words means something, and I'd like to go into that briefly. The Silver Saddle is where the tanks are. So this pipeline is going to feed 2 existing Carefree Water Company tanks that are on Silver Saddle. Pressure zone, the most important word, I think, in this long title is the zone. I'd like to invite you to think about this project as the creation of a zone of pressure in the water system rather than as a pipeline itself. So I'll go into that a little bit. The nuts and bolts of the project are to replace 4,000 feet of existing aging pipeline. So Silver Saddle, and also, I'll talk about this when we show the map in a moment. There is existing PVC, so polyvinyl chloride water line in the streets that we'll talk about. That's going to be abandoned in place, left in place, capped off and abandoned in favor of a much larger and much stronger pipe. So replacing a 3-inch PVC pipe with new 8-inch ductile iron pipe. The advantages that replacement affords are many. The ductile iron material can withstand higher pressures. It can convey more volume. That's just common sense. When you have a 3-inch diameter pipe versus an 8-inch, you're going to get more flow through an 8-inch pipe. And because it can take more pressure, it can allow the installation of hydrants, the extension of fire protection service into this part of the town. So some very important advantages there. So that is the second component in terms of hardware, installing 7 new fire hydrants in the Highlands in an area that currently lacks that kind of protection. So the zone entails improving the flow among the reservoirs that are throughout town that were part of the consolidation project. So there is the Tom Darlington Reservoir, there's the reservoir off of Nonchalant. These play together, and the water company can shift flows as they need to sustain the pressures throughout the system that they need to provide reliable service. So this is both for customer service, or customers of Carefree Water Company, and for fire flow. So it's twofold there. So this is a sketch of the zone, or part of the zone. So the line itself, even though we're calling it the Silver Saddle Pressure Zone Project, in some earlier manifestations, Gravity Zone, it's the same thing. Gravity is just another way of getting pressure into the system. It's principally, however, not in Silver Saddle. It's mostly on Concho Lane, so it affects parts of all of these streets, Cowtrack, Sombrero, Concho Lane, and then a small portion of Silver Saddle before it heads up to the top of the hill at the existing 2 150,000 gallon tanks. So this 8-inch ductile iron pipe, 4,000 feet of it, will allow the feeding of this tank system from the other reservoirs that are already in the consolidated system. I want to invite you, though, at this moment, to view this not as a pipeline that serves just residences off the pipeline. That's not what it does principally. In fact, it serves the hydrants that provide fire service to this area of town. But this is principally to achieve flow across this zone. So the entire blue zone is what is benefited from this project, over a third of the land area of the town. So what you see, and this is a fairly busy slide, I apologize for that. This slide shows a few different things besides the town boundary. It shows former portions served by Cave Creek, and what are labeled here as transition area properties, so properties that came in the consolidation process. And installing this new line, this 8-inch ductile iron line, will allow the exchange of pressures among the 3 reservoirs so that the entire blue area, which includes both a considerable number of original service area properties, 544, and some transition area properties, 47 from the old system, will be served by the increased pressures available through this system. So the pipe will basically convey water both uphill and downhill depending on demand. Sometimes they'll be using it to fill the tanks that are on Silver Saddle, and other times they will be draining those tanks by gravity. So that's why it was called Gravity, the Gravity Zone Project, in some earlier manifestations of this presentation. So it's a complicated system that has been part of a master plan that Carefree Water has been hard at work at over the past several years, and this is the latest component of it to make that system fully functional for the benefit of the customers of the Carefree Water Company. So recognizing the need for this project, Carefree Water Company, the general manager, went out with a request for proposals process, an RFP. They started advertising that in late August. They gave that a little over a month and a week for bids to be collected, and they had a robust response. So 13 bidders, that's a almost overwhelming response. That's a goodly number. The low bidder was Judco of Cedar City, Utah. They've performed a fair amount of work throughout Arizona. They seem to be specialists. We've not worked with them before in the town, but they seem to be specialists in infrastructure work, largely public work throughout southern Utah and northern Arizona. So they have a fair track record, fairly impressive track record, and they were the low bidder. I should mention that I think you saw as one of the attachments the list of bidders. These are apples to apples. They bid on the same thing. So it's not as though one contractor bid on one package and another bid on another. This is supposed to be apples to apples comparison. So all things being equal, they should be capable of delivering the same thing as any other bidder. So this is where it gets a little curious, because the timing's a little weird for us on this, because a big portion, 80% of the funding that was anticipated to be available for this project is available through the EPA Community Grant Program. This is on hold pending the federal shutdown. So if the total low bid was $894,466, 80% of that, up to $800,000 would be covered by our friends in Washington. So in addition to that, the general manager requested a 25% contingency for change orders that may arise. And the real variance is really predicted to be in the category of hard dig. I don't know if that's a new term to some of you, but so I'll try to explain it the best I understand it. I've encountered it on a few projects here in Carefree in my time here. Hard dig is basically when an excavator, a project proponent, goes to install utilities or foundations and encounters naturally cementitious materials below the surface of the ground. This is pretty common in this part of the valley. Much of the valley, the lowland parts, consist of alluvium, just sand and gravel, which is very easy to dig through. But up here, as you get closer to the foothills, you get more mineralization of natural carbonate materials that form a natural cement. So that cement works its way into the little particles of soil and gravel at depth. With the compaction provided by the added weight of the soil above it, it compresses it into a kind of a natural concrete. When excavators encounter that, it gets very difficult to get through, even with good ripping bulldozers and with strong teeth. It can be laborious and fuel-consuming and time-consuming to rip through and to accomplish the excavation. So consequently, often in situations like that, contractors will request or expect, or both, a change order for those deeper, harder dig conditions that they encounter. The general manager estimates that maybe about 20% of that 4,000-foot length of pipeline installation would encounter, or would be likely to encounter, these hard dig conditions. Hard dig is unpredictable. We don't have a focused geotechnical or geological test in hand, report in hand for this project. It comes and goes. You could have one lot next to another, side by side, and depending on what part of town they're in, where one would face hard dig conditions and the other might not, because it just varies that dramatically. Hard dig tends to be much more pronounced up against Black Mountain, and is less commonly encountered the farther east you go, but still can be an issue. So that's why the hard dig variance was accounted for. If we had a hard dig throughout the length of the 4,000-foot installation, we'd be looking at potentially additional costs per foot of about $70 to $75. That's a lot. So if we've only accounted for 20%, that could raise the price, but through change orders by about $200,000 to $300,000. So it's a significant potential cost that as a risk of this project. So the award summary is contingent upon EPA concurrence and EPA confirmation of funding availability. Those are impossible to come by at the moment until EPA resumes its business and the federal government shutdown is resolved. So funding seems to be secure based on everything we've read and been told, but it may be subject to some of these various mechanisms, such as rescission, contract cancellation, deobligation, whereby funds previously allocated are recategorized and put in other places by the administration. So it's well worth considering and doing right now, because we want to be in line when the shutdown resolves and emails start getting answered again. We want to have our place in the queue. I think that's why the general manager wanted to bring this forward to your consideration, tonight. So that's what I know about it. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Yeah, so thank you. Good job.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
A couple questions. One, I think it's important for us to all note that in the contract, they actually bid anticipating some hard dig. So there's a number in there, 65,000, there's a number.
It's
in
about
there.
20% of the
So I think that's
footage.
important. So if they hit hard dig beyond that, then we might have to dip into the contingency.
That's
And
correct.
even then, going back at one of those other slides, I didn't realize this, but if the grant is 800,000, and if everything goes well, they're only into it for 715, through the early stages of the hard dig monies, it'll be an 80-20 sharing until they hit 800,000, and then we're on the hook for the balance.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's true.
That's a fair
I
characterization.
think that's right. So I do have a question. You mentioned that the water can flow both ways, because of the beauty of this zone. Are homes, I think there are homes that will be directly tapped into this line. Will there be or not? And if there
I
are,
ass-
will they like, when we shift from like one direction to the other, do they get like a momentary pause in their water pressure?
Yes, I was chatting just earlier today with our field supervisor, and my understanding is that, correct me if I'm wrong, but the 3-inch will be abandoned in place and kept in service during construction. So the 3-inch PVC will still be pressurized and providing service. Then the changeover will happen once the construction of the 8-inch ductile iron is complete and ready for service.
So will homes be tapped into that 8-inch line?
I believe so, yes. Yes, the 3-inch would be completely abandoned following successful installation of the 8-inch.
Okay, anyway, something to think about. All right, go ahead.
Couple quick questions. And I'm just curious because I actually live in this area and I knew that this was going to be kind of the end, right? You did Peaceful Place and now we're Silver Saddle.
Sure.
So these other side streets that are not impacted, so Silver Saddle, Concha, Sombrero, the other streets, there are hydrants in those locations and their piping is okay and won't be impacted, or?
I don't believe, I can't speak street by street, but I think we are shy of hydrants, the hydrants we'd like to have in that part of town.
Well, so like this one over in the kind of to the right of the screen that says
Yeah.
new hydrant existing.
Sure.
That is still, I believe, Cowtrack Drive going around there, but where it comes south, kind of Paint Pony and the other Concho and stuff, which isn't on here. I guess I could meet with you later and kind of confirm what's going on there. Is that?
Oh, by all means. I mean,
Okay.
I have a copy of the system map. I'm sure Manuel does as well.
Okay.
We can only put hydrants where we have lines that are capable of
Correct.
supporting those.
All right,
those
so I'll
hydrants.
follow up with you on that separately. The other question I'm curious about on the hard dig, Peaceful Place, that project, did you encounter it there and was it about what you expected or was it more or less?
I'll have to defer.
Unfortunately, I wasn't here for that, but just my experience in the last 2 years, the hard digs are very frequent throughout here, more so by Peaceful Place than we are in the hills.
Okay, so that's what I'm kind of curious, if they would have encountered more or less than us, that would kind of hopefully give us an indication. Thank you.
Peaceful Place being closer to the Black Mountain would have more of that chemical.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So you're leaving the 3-inch in place. Are you running the 8-inch parallel to it?
Parallel to it, not in the same trench. So it's actually on opposite sides of the street. So we won't be re-excavating the 3-inch, we'll be leaving it in place. But it will be taken out of service because it won't be able to bear the higher pressures that the ductile iron will be able to place. So there's some economy there. We're saving the excavation and demolition of that existing line. It causes no harm, no foul if it's just left in place there. It's just out of service. Whereas the 8-inch will have its own run and presumably, no conflicts with the existing system by being in its own trench all the way up the hill.
When they dug the 3-inch, did they encounter the hard dig?
That's a very good question.
Because it's the same area, if it's
Yeah.
running parallel, you have a history of what the rock is like.
That's a good question. That goes back some time. I'm not sure how old that 3-inch line would be. It's decades, probably. So it might be even original. I couldn't speak to that, I'm
I mean,
afraid.
it's PVC. I mean,
PVC.
When was the last time a water company installed PVC pipe for a main water line?
I think that's from the 80s.
Decades.
Yeah.
Probably the 80s. Probably the 80s. I don't think we have records on that. I could be mistaken, but I haven't seen that.
Just
Oh,
have one.
Go ahead.
So would change orders arise from a complication that comes up, or will we change our mind on something, or?
Any of the above. Yeah, if we changed our mind, if we had a change of heart, that, for instance, we wanted not ductile iron pipe, but gold pipe. I don't know why we would do that, but that would be on us. That would be a preference of the customer, and we'd have to pay for that. Besides the hard dig, which is the most explicitly considered possibility for variance, most likely possibility of variance in this contract, the other things that come to mind would be utility conflicts. If they go, they did their work. Cohen Van Loo was the designer on this project. They're a very good, competent engineer. They did preliminary surveys and soundings, kind of the detection of existing buried utilities that might be in the area, both wet utilities and dry utilities. So wet utilities carrying fluids such as sewer, and dry utilities such as gas or wire. They think they're clear of those utilities, but if they go to excavate and lo and behold, there's an unreported or undiagnosed or previously undetected utility line, wet or dry, we'd get a call from the contractor saying, yeah, that'll cost you to get out of the reach of. We're going to have to design something around that, duck under it, provide some kind of thrust block to get around it, some kind of spacer, any number of things that they would want compensation for.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So the total connected length between the three tanks is 4,000 feet?
Just a hair under that. I think it's 3990, but yeah, about 4,000 feet.
So the 150K tank in the Highlands is at a much higher elevation than the tank on Tom Darlington. So are we pumping water from Tom Darlington up there to,
Intermittently throughout the system. I wish I had an illustration. Among the three, and I don't, I just have that. So among the three, actually do we even have I can't tell where we are here. The nonchalant site, yeah, we don't have Peaceful Place shown on here.
Peaceful Place is not on there, but
Yeah.
the 500-gallon site.
Yeah, off of nonchalant. So for instance, I believe it's the Stagecoach Pass 1 million tank is at about the same elevation as Nonchalant. So there's a very slight elevation difference. So it's an interplay. It's an optimization. We look to the Carefree Water to make sure that they have the reserves in any given tank that's in the system that they need to provide the fire flow and customer service at any given time. So it's a very dynamic system. It's not just one way. It's the flow will happen in both directions on an as-needed basis as they anticipate demand. But it's the 4,000 feet is the new line. It doesn't. That's what connects them into Caltrack. The other lines are all existing, so there won't be any other line throughout town to affect that network connection.
Is that okay, Clint?
all good?
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so hearing, thank you. Well done, really. All right, so now I would entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2025-03, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Town of Carefree, Arizona Utilities Community Facilities District, Carefree UCFD, authorizing the chairman to execute construction services contract number 2025-C01 with Judd Co. LLC for pipeline improvements within the Silver Saddle pressure zone.
Motion to approve resolution of the Board of Directors of the Town of Carefree, Arizona Utilities Communities Facilities District, authorizing the chairman to execute construction services contract number 2025-C01 with Judd Company LLC for pipeline improvements within the Silver Saddle pressure zone, plus the 25% contingency. Do we need to add that here?
Yes.
Plus the 25% contingency.
Yes, you do, thank you. Good catch.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously, thank you. Good discussion. Agenda item number 4, adjournments. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great, thank you, good meeting. Where'd you go?
25%.